fun to drive. That's the very definition of the thrill of driving. That's what we at Evo India are all about, and that's what this new Ferrari is all about. In fact, the guys at Ferrari tell us that fun to drive was their main priority, the main objective in development of the 296 GTB. And to find out, we've come to Spain, to fabulous mountain roads in Andalucia, and then to the Monteblanco circuit. We will return to the racetrack later this afternoon, but first we catch the morning light in the hills above Seville. And before we can Ferrari's new V6 mid-engine sports car, don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay notified for our video drops, subscribe to the Evo India channel and give us a thumbs up and share this video if you enjoy it. Ferrari say that in the development stage, this motor, the powertrain package, was nicknamed Piccolo V12. That means little V12. That's what they say that the motor sounds like. I think that is pushing it because this does not sound like a V12, but this sounds special. I'll just shut up for a bit so that you can listen to this. At around 5,000 RPM, you can hear that. And it is loud. Oh. This performance is mind-bending. The V6 motor, it spins to 8,500 RPM. You're not used to turbo engines spinning up just so much. This is epic and then some. Oh, it's a volcano of power. So let's dial things down a bit and talk about the powertrain. The total system output of the V6 twin turbo engine, it's a 2.9 litre, actually technically it is the 3 litre V6 twin turbo and the E-motor put together make 830 horsepower, that is 818 bhp, out of which 163 bhp is supplied by the E-motor. 663 horsepower, that is the output of this V6 engine. And with 818 bhp going just to the rear wheels, that makes it the most powerful rear engine sports car. This engine also, the entire powertrain, it has the highest specific output of any production road car engine. You can play with this throttle like a musical instrument. There is also a patented hot tube which pipes in the intake noises into the cabin. Now it is not amplified, it doesn't come through the speakers, but those intake noises are piped into the cabin, and that's why you can hear so much more of that turbo. All the chuntering and performance figures: 328 kilometers per hour top speed, 2.9 seconds 0 to 100, 7.3 seconds 0 to 200. Good God, this is fast. I asked the Ferrari engineers if any Formula 1 engineers were involved in this road car project, because the packaging of the powertrain is very similar to the Formula 1 engine. Of course, the Formula 1 engine is completely different from this, but the MG UK is derived directly from Formula 1. and the way it has been positioned and packaged, it's all using learnings from Formula One and then applying it to a road car. So this is an example of motorsport translating into fast road cars. And this whole hybrid system on the 296 GTB, it has been engineered for performance, not efficiency. None of those other parameters have been focused as much as performance. And I have to point out that in other hybrid cars, the motor kicks in so seamlessly, you don't even notice it. Not so in the Ferrari. This is no Toyota Camry where the engine cutting in and out is unnoticeable. Here, when the engine kicks in, you can hear it, you can feel it, and oh boy. The turbos, they're made by IHI, the same company that did the turbos on the F40 right in the beginning. So compared to the F8 Tributo that came before this, the boost efficiency has gone up by 24%. The inertia has reduced by 11%. And that, Ferrari said, have made for instantaneous responses. And they're talking in comparison to the F8. And the F8 Tributo, the car was named after the engine. An engine that had won the Best Engine in the World award multiple times in a row. Nobody complained about turbo lag on the F8 Tributo. And here, they said that it is even better. It's even quicker. The throttle response, it is, well, I shouldn't use this word, but it is electric. This is not Ferrari's first hybrid, but this is their first rear-wheel drive hybrid. You get 25 kilometers of pure electric range, like I'm doing right now. 25 kilometers, top speed of 135 kilometers per hour in pure EV mode. The e-motor makes 163 bhp and a peak torque of 315 Newton meters. It is also a plug-in hybrid. And on a normal European home charger, it does 1 hour for the full charge. That's on a 7 kilowatt charger. And this is great for the city, I guess. Absolute silence. The display, it tells you what's going on. So when you're on the brake, it is charging. When you're on the throttle, you're using the electric power. There is a blue band around the dial that tells you what's going on. In hybrid mode, the display changes. Again, it shows you how much the e-motor is torque filling the ice. And it's because of the e-motor, that's why there is just no turbo lag. It is all smooth. Responses are like faster than I can snap my fingers. When you're on the brake, it shows you that the motor is being charged. Quite a lot happening out there, but it's all laid out in a very logical, easy to understand form. We're talking so much about the driving that I haven't spoken about the way the 296 GTB looks or its aerodynamics. So I guess we just pull over and dive into that. And I must also talk about the interiors because, God, this looks expensive and beautiful. Okay, Sirish, stop and talk about the styling. The styling has been inspired by the 250LM that won Le Mans in the early 60s. But Ferrari are no slave to the past. And while drawing inspiration, they've made this look futuristic and, man, gorgeous. Now, you can make up your own mind on the styling, so I won't dive into that. But what I will point out are a few aerodynamic aids that makes the car handle brilliantly. The first is what is called a T-tray. So this is the element out here, and it generates a third vortice, which creates a more significant ground effect and sucks the car onto the ground. How it works is very complicated. I won't get into that. But T-tray out there. This is the intake for the cooling of the front brakes. So the cooling duct is integrated into the front headlamp. Looks cool and is also functional. This element, the tray, is also there to generate more downforce. Now the wheelbase has been reduced by 50 mm over the earlier V8 Berlinettas, and the car itself looks just so much more compact, low, tight. Out here, these are the intakes, and this is for cooling the intercoolers, but the size has been reduced by half because it's been optimized over the F8 Tributos. Here is where the cool stuff is. So this is actually a wing. You can see the gap out here, but when you look at it, it actually looks flush with the body. And these are the flying buttresses. And what this does in combination is reduces the virtual length of the rear screen, which I don't know how it works, but what I can tell you is that it frees up the need to have big wings stuck onto the back, and the underbody, it does all the work. This is the S-shaped diffuser, a central exhaust, and this is the most crucial element. This is the active aero device. So this spoiler, it deploys at speed, it comes up and it increases the downforce at speed. Now earlier, the active aero elements on other Ferraris actually worked to improve the top speed, so it worked to reduce drag, but this, it increases the downforce. This adds 100 kilos to the downforce, and in total it generates 360 kilos of downforce, 120 on the front axle, 240 on the rear axle. But just look at it in terms of the styling. My God, in red, it looks phenomenal. Now this is a cockpit, a proper cockpit which sort of envelopes around the driver. Like the Roma, it has capacitive touch buttons. So that's a touch button for the engine start-stop. You have the E-Manettino. So you have the different modes. You have the E-Drive mode, hybrid, performance, and qualify. You have the regular Manettino. So starts with wet, sport, race, and CT off. And of course, you can switch off ESP completely if you're feeling brave. And you punch it to soften the dampers. And this is the bumpy road setting. Now the dampers, that's something that we have to talk about. On the road, the ride quality on this 296 GTB is astonishingly good. It can take bumpy roads, and these roads around the mountains are not the smoothest. They do have a bit of bumps, but this is really comfortable, it takes it so well. You also have a nose lift, so that will be handy when you take it over a few speed breakers or ramps to put it onto the truck and take it to the racetrack. Back to the interiors, the digital cockpit. Now this is a full width digital cockpit. You have the tacho in the center. The tacho display, in fact, the entire display changes in the different E-Manettino modes. It tells you exactly what you want, and there's a lot happening out there. You have the E range, that's the green bar. You have the petrol range, that is the orange bar. You have the blue ring around the tacho, that shows you how much of the E motor you are using. You have the navigation on the right, or you can move it to the left if you want. Lots happening out here, so it does really take a bit of time to get used to everything, where everything is. This has been inspired by gated shifts. So this is L is for launch control, A and M is for automatic manual, reverse, and of course you have the paddle shifters which are connected to the steering wheel, just how it should be. In terms of the comfort, the seats, you can get sporty seats, you can get comfortable seats, you even have tan leather carpet mats. Just shows the level that you can option the car to. You have a screen for the passenger, so really you can go absolutely wild speccing it with options, some of which are eye-wateringly expensive. It reminds me, I should find out if Apple CarPlay is standard or you still have to option it on a Ferrari. But enough talking, back to the driving. And then there's the handling. Oh my God. This is what the fun to drive is all about. And Ferrari, being Ferrari, fun to drive is not just a term that they use. They have 5 parameters that define fun to drive. Those parameters are lateral, longitudinal, gear shifting, braking, and sound that Ferrari used to measure fun to drive. The steering, it is like all Ferraris, very reactive, quite hyper. Takes a few miles to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it is telepathic. You think and it turns. is just so darty, so precise, and so quick to turn. And then the grip on the rear, the E-diff metering out power, measuring how much grip is available. God, this is like a go-kart. I love these bits that get little mixed up in translation. You would think that 830 horsepower on the rear wheels would make for a super intimidating, difficult to drive, really intense car. But once you're used to the power, the way this moves, it beggars disbelief. But with the amount of power on tap, with the grip on tap, you can only fully exploit the car here on the racetrack. So we are at the Monteblanco circuit and we'll be driving the 296 GTB with the Asseto Fiorano package. And we're going to play around with it a bit. The Asseto Fiorano package replaces the adaptive dampers for GT racing derived adjustable Multimatic shock absorbers optimized for track use. In addition, there are super sticky Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2R tires, more carbon fiber, and an ultra lightweight Lexan engine cover to drop weight by 15 kilos. And the livery? It's inspired by the 250 LM from 1963. And the first thing that you notice are these brakes. The ABS Evo brakes are unbelievably good. In the detailed technical presentation yesterday, they talked about how the brakes have been developed for stability on the rear, and I really couldn't understand until we came out here. The bite from the front end, the stability on the brakes is brilliant. Compared to the F8 Tributo, the 200 to 0 braking distance is reduced by 8.8% and the repeat braking efficiency from 200 km/h is improved by 24%. And they spoke about agility. That's what the 296 GTB is all about. It's like an overgrown go-kart. The 6-way chassis dynamic sensor is a claimed world's first for the automotive sector, which enables the vehicle dynamic controls to more accurately read the car's dynamic behavior, thus optimizing their intervention. And the side slip control and grip estimator is now 35% faster than previous applications. With all 830 horsepower going to the rear wheels, deploying all 830 horsepower down the straight, my God, it's quick. And then you stand on the brakes and the bite, this is like a race car. You drag the brakes into the apex and it stays glued. Fun to drive, my God, this is fun to drive. You might have a different opinion, but to my mind at least, a Ferrari V12, a naturally aspirated V12, sits at the very top of internal combustion engines. Below that obviously sit the V8s, and in an ideal world, the V6 should sit below that. Except Ferrari are not in an ideal world business. They are in the business of making engineering tour de forces. And the twin turbo V6 along with the hybrid powertrain on the 296 GTB, my God, it actually outperforms the V8 on the F8 Tributo. Ferrari are saying that the 296 GTB is not a replacement to the F8 Tributo, but the F8 is no longer on sale, so technically this is the replacement. Anyway, put all that aside. Order books are already open in India. First deliveries will happen in Q3 of this year, and the price is going to go up by almost a crore of rupees over the F8. But demand is so strong that the waiting period, as we speak right now, is already stretching into 18 months. And if you get a hold on this car, my word, this really is fun to drive. I've not had so much fun in a car in ages. What a machine.